Years ago, I sat down for a business meeting. I just started my corporate job and I was as green as they come. While we were waiting for the last client to arrive, the most senior man in the room, a notary, began to tell a story. I remember it until this day, and reflecting on it now, it just makes me sad. The story was about his BlackBerry. Now, some of you watching may be too young to remember this, and just saying that out loud makes me feel old. There was a time where the BlackBerry, nicknamed Crackberry, ruled the business world. I still miss the satisfaction of tactile typing on that keyboard. So that notary had just come back from his holiday, and he told us how he'd gotten into a fight with his wife. Now, I don't know why, because this man was making bank, but I pictured him and his wife at a camping site, sitting in front of the caravan in these comfortable, adjustable chairs. And he must have been on his BlackBerry all the time, because all of a sudden, his wife grabbed the phone out of his hands and dumped it into the water jar on the table. Can you imagine that? There must have been so much frustration boiling under the surface, until it just exploded. And you'd think the man, after he recovered from the initial shock, would have gotten the message. But that wasn't the case. No, he continued by saying that he put his hand in the water jar, took the BlackBerry out, disassembled it, and put the different parts in the sun to dry. And miraculously, when he assembled the phone back together and turned it on, it worked. And he could answer his emails again. Elated, a big smile appeared on his face. He wore being that devoted to his clients as a badge of honor. Clearly, he was trying to impress the people in the room. But I didn't know how I was supposed to react. Impressed? Or worried about my own future? Like, was this what it would take to be successful? I just kept my mouth shut. But the story has stuck with me until this day. Reflecting on it now, with a bit more life experience in my metaphorical backpack, there are a few takeaways for me. First, prioritizing your work over your relationship, especially on a holiday, is a terrible idea. But I can see how it can happen when your identity is totally tied up with your job, and it's the norm at the company. There's a type of bonding that happens when you're working late nights with your colleagues and are always online and quick to react whenever you're not at the office. I know this because for years that was my life, and it takes courage to set boundaries. Another takeaway for me is that being disattached to constantly checking and replying to business emails, always being on, can really set you up for burnout. And I don't mean burnout in the colloquial sense, where someone says, "Oh, I feel so burned out," and then they're back on their feet the day later. I mean the type of burnout where you need to drop everything and don't know when or even if you will recover. The type that can last for months or even longer. As I'm making this video, a close friend of mine is going through this. So burnout is a real thing. And the people at risk are often the overachievers, the perfectionists. So if that's you, it's important to be vigilant. Set boundaries, practice digital minimalism, and don't be online 24/7. The final takeaway, this type of bragging can actually backfire. I mean, I still think about this story years later. And if I'd be a client myself today and my financial or legal advisor would tell me a similar story, I would not be impressed. I would see an inflated ego, a possible marriage crisis, someone who isn't able to strike a good balance between work and personal life. Of course, when the contact is strictly business, like with my accountant for example, it wouldn't matter so much. But ideally, I'd like to do business with people who I also admire as an individual, especially when it's a long-lasting relationship with lots of interaction. That type of relationship is all about trust, and trust is a gut feeling. If I get the impression that my business partner makes a mess of their personal life, that will give me cause for concern. Will they act with integrity working on my file? These days, I've embraced the principles of slow living and minimalism. And I have a lot more mental clarity on what constitutes a good life to me now. And I can tell you this, it's not prioritizing work over everything else. Part of me wishes I'd come to this realization earlier in life. I mean, I sometimes look at YouTubers or entrepreneurs in their early 20s. I kind of envy the focus, the drive, the dedication some of them already seem to have. But we're all on our own journey through life. Our past experiences help us make better decisions tomorrow. And sometimes other people's experiences can too. So I hope this story gave you some food for thought. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.